Assalamualaikum class, good morning. We'll meet again after long holiday break. New topic about tourist attitude formation and change. Okay, what are attitudes? Alright, the way you think and feel about someone or something. A feeling or way of thinking that affects a person's behavior. A way of thinking and behaving that people regard as unfriendly, rude, etc. So your attitude define who you are. Right? If you have a bad attitude, then you have some what we call a mischief behavior. If you have a good attitude, then you will be regarded or defined as a very polite person. Alright. The most important thing, if you have very good attitude, people will look high on you. People won't look down on you. People will regard you as having a very good education and have very good family background. Okay. Now, the components of attitude, the A, B, C of attitude. First, affective, and then the emotions, feelings, behavioral, tendency to respond, or motive, the cognitive, the belief, opinions, and knowledge. Okay, class. Affective, behavioral, cognitive are the actions. Okay, affective is more subjective. Behavioral is more on the tangible thing that you'll be going to see on that particular act of that person. Cognitive, the way make you think, how you will react to that particular environment. Okay, cognitive is about your mind, your thinking. Okay, and then you think, then that will be translated into action. Alright, so that what we call A, B, C, affective, subjective feelings about emotions, behavioral about the tendency, about your action, that's what we call tangible thing. Cognitive is also what we call submerge or embed in your mind, but you yourself can control. The person can control how you will act, how you will react. Okay, so this is the most important thing. If you are a tourism manager one day, you will be going to think about the most important aspect of attitude. That's what we call ABC. And the attitude formation, how people form evaluations of person, places, or things. Formation of attitude. If you look here in the slide, all right, so your attitude are formed by many kinds of sources or influences. Example, your friends, regional culture, your peers, your family, teachers, your coaches, your past experience, media, feedback can reinforce attitude. Attitude can create false perception known as prejudice. So attitude, you will change one day. Change into positive, change into negative. So if you are negative kind of person, with very bad behavior of the past, one day will be a very good person. If you're a very good person now, perhaps money can change you, women can change you, wealth can change you, greed can change you. All right, so all those are the external environment or the external factors. So you might want to go to the back, the previous, the ABC about the cognitive. If greed can change you, so you will think, is this right? Is this wrong? If women can change you, you can think, is this right or is this wrong? If lust can change you, you can think whether it is good or bad, right? Whether it's good choice or a bad choice. If you're a very kind or disciplined person, you will learn from your friends who are very disciplined, who are very committed and dedicated in their daily life. Okay, you will learn from them. Attitude and trouble decision making. Attitude consists of belief, opinions, feelings, form and leads to preference or intention to act. So that is why, class, if you need to have very good kind of attitude, it is what we call your circle, your peers. If your circle like to do all these mischief thing or bad things, if your friends like to steal, then you become a thief. If your friends like to recite Quran, then you will become a Hafiz one day. That's what we call your peers. Uh, Social factors can influence decision making. Complexity of attitude depends on amount and variety of information possessed on the object. Social factors can influence decision making. Social factors, if you are having a very good what we call friends with a very wealthy circles, but yourself, your background is not at the same as them. Example, you are coming from B40 family, your friends from T20 family, you will see or identify your friends from T20 family having a very lavish lifestyle in their daily life, spending lots of branded things, but you can't afford it. Perhaps you will change yourself. You will something what we call this as if you will be going to follow their steps. All right, but that's you go to the basic things, ABC, cognitive. If you can follow them, go ahead. If you can't follow them because you can't afford to buy all those branded things, then you might want to abstain yourself. All right, cut down all the expenses. You might want to measure your what we call this one, your affordability, whether or not you can afford to buy that thing. All right, the attitude. Example, your friend from T20 background or from those high income salary, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000. Okay, they can afford to stay at a lavish hotel, 5-star hotel, but you can't because your salary is 1,200 ringgit per month. So it is something which is impossible. You don't want to ridicule yourself, all right? It is something which is an absurd. You don't want to torture yourself just to follow others. Okay. Now you go to the next one. Is the third point: complexity of attitude depend on amount and variety of information possessed on the object. First, non-complex attitude easier to change, and the other one is complex attitude difficult to change. Alright, some persons can change their attitude easily, but some just can't. Example, if you a heavy smoker, your friend or your spouse asks you to change that behavior, or just what you call just do not follow the other friends who smoke, you just need to ask your friends or spouse to quit smoking. Some follow the words advice, but some just can't. Alright, macam tu susah. Tu nama dia kata those with non-complex attitude and the other with complex attitude. Ada yang rasa benda tu salah tapi dipertahankan. Ada yang kata rasa macam mendengar dan timbang tara dan dia kata okay, I will change. Alright, strategies to influence attitude change. Change the product. Change the product. Perceptual change. Prompt a behavioral change. Activate latent motivation. Latent hidden. Changing the store of knowledge. We change the product. Make a change on the product and make sure consumers know. Change can be physical change to the product, example style of hotel or theme of hotel. Change can be on service, example improve on communication skills or people skills. You change the product. If that particular product is a lemon product, is a very old product, is an unknown product, is an uncommercial product, it is what we call, you might want to just change the product in terms of its packaging, in terms of its color, in terms of its texture, in terms of its taste, in terms of its quality. If it is not because of that particular product, you can change based on the service, how you communicate, how you entertain the people. All right, this is what we call people skills. Before you don't have knowledge on that particular product, but after you have studied about the detail of that product, your skills become improved. Then if you have that particular skills, you know about that particular product, then you can explain that product very well, and you can satisfy to all the needs and wants and the questions and queries of the customers about that particular product. Right? Perceptual change ni maksud kata persepsi, tukar persepsi. First, new perceptions. You use campaign or tagline. Alright, this is what we call these catchy words. Example here, Gold Coast famous for fun, Malaysia truly Asia. Example, Melaka maju 2010, Melaka bandar teknologi hijau. Alright, macam tu. Malaysia bebas COVID, something like that. Alright, perceptual change. Sometimes perceptual change would affect your affective emotions. Alright, prompt a behavioral change. Prompt behavioral change instantly. Makna kata menukarkan tingkah laku seseorang instantly. Alright, prompt. Okay. Repetition to encourage change in attitude towards product or service. Berulang kali. Sometimes people need to be advised regularly. Sometimes they need to be reminded occasionally. Sometimes they need to be given some important words to them daily, so that they can always think and then try to reflect on that particular words or advice. Then they will change. All right. Use advertisement or tools that can attract consumers. All right. For the third point, you will be using some humor to install new knowledge or information to the consumer. Now, this one, some kind of addition or adding some gimmick. All right, cheat on your car. So you do see this lion. All right, before and after. This is what we call shampoo. All right, and the below of that. This is don't buy exotic animal souvenirs. This is WWF. All right, perhaps this woman is dragging animal leather bag. All right. Okay. So you might want to use some kind of images to induce some awareness to the people. Okay, activate latent motivation. Latent is something that you can't see. It's a hidden motivation. Address latent motivation for a specific type of situation. Example, obligations to make children happy versus making travel decisions to Disney World. Okay, this may stimulate change in attitude towards holiday with family. Latent behaviour, motivasi yang tersimpan di dalam diri yang tidak pernah kita rungkai dan keluarkan. You don't know. Okay, then that is something that you might want to predict. Okay, changing the store of knowledge. Communicating new additional information, people with less or limited amount of information may be more susceptible to change. Changing the store of knowledge by reading frequently, by reading extensively, by reading all the reviews of the customers, by sharing lots of information with your peers, and then by comparing the performance of your sales of the competitors with yours. All right, you have lots of competitors. You might want to compare your sales and your competitors' sales. So how can you be at par, or how can you be higher than them, not below than them? All right. So convey information on benefits of the consumer services to the consumer. This one is very important, because the most important thing that customers need to look for are the benefit. All right. So you need to always emphasis on the consumption benefit of that particular product that you are selling. Alright, consumption benefit, mana manfaat yang didapati daripada produk that you sell. Yang tu yang paling penting. Okay, there are so many of the benefits being what we call circulated, disseminated, ataupun delivered to the people out there. Alright, but you are just telling them. You are just telling them. You are trying to validate by providing some testimonials, but that testimonial is very little to influence the people to buy. Okay, by adding some validation, example, contoh, if you are selling cosmetic product, validated by notification of issues of pharmaceutical code from KKM, Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia, that would validate. Alright, that would validate. But many of these cosmetic product or beauty product always what we call, or supplement product, always overclaim, but that claim is not proven. If it is proven, it's just what we call mere testimonial, that we don't know who are the background of that particular consumers who already consumed that particular product, or some mere statement but with no backup. Example, statement, there was a proven research atau studies being conducted about this particular product, so and so and so, that this product is good for the health, macam tu kan, good to cure so many severe illnesses. Tapi all those particular statement are just a statement. Mana kata no endorsement. Yang tu. Satu validate. Satu lagi lack of endorsement. Endorsement ni mana kata, kalau dia kata ada kajian, daripada mana, sumbernya siapa, journal. Okey, ada kajian kata journal, lepas tu dia quote journal, quote author, quote author. Journal exist, author exist, but sayangnya the methodology part was very weak, kan? Methodology part, dia punya sampel adalah sampel makmal, kan? Sampel dalam makmal, bukan sampel untuk orang luar, thousands of people that represent the population. Ada juga sampel, tapi sampelnya cuma 20 orang. 20 orang is underrepresented. This is not represent the population. Katakan populationnya, katakan sampelnya ramai juga, ada 200, 300, but Caucasian background, Caucasian, bukannya Asian. Itu pun masalah juga, sebab Caucasian dengan Asian, dia punya DNA agak berbeza, skin tone berbeza, even size of berbeza juga, kan, macam itulah. So tapi the most important thing that you need to know, that people always been fascinated by all this promotion, nak cepat lawa, macam tu kan, macam tu, ataupun cepat sado. Yang ni pun masalah juga, quick instant result, drastic result. Yang ni lah yang menyebabkan ramai sellers out there using this tagline, quick result, instant result, drastic result, kan. as soon as 7 hours, as soon as 7 weeks. Macam tu. So semuanya false hope, fake hope. They don't even care as long as they can sell the product. Alright, okay. Alright, okay. One thing, class, if you would like to change other people's attitude, or how can you influence the people or your friends or peers, you can use this improvisation method. That's what you call yes. And I have a video that you can study, and then you can try to listen attentively, and then to try to focus, and then you can practice it, and then you can try to reflect yourself. All right.
Hi, we're here learning how to do some improv warm-ups, and now we're going to show you how to play yes and. If you're familiar with improvisational theater, you're probably familiar with yes and. Yes and is a general philosophy to agree with what your partner is saying and then to add additional information. In order to play yes and as a warm-up exercise, have your team partner up into pairs of two. At that point in time, the pairs are going to turn facing each other, and they're going to speak some information into existence, at which point the next player is going to yes and it, which means to agree with and add more detail to the situation. Watch Daniel and I go through this a couple times and I think you'll understand. I went to the bank today.
Yes, and it was awesome. They had completely renovated the entire building.
Yes, and the renovations were so nice that they caught my eye when I was driving down the road.
Yes, and I thought they were so beautiful, I thought I'd take a picture with my new camera phone.
Yes, and once I had 40 pictures, I published an album called Pictures of My Favorite Bank, What Looks Cool.
Yes, and I posted it online on a website, and it got up to 40,000 hits a day.
That's how you play yes and. You just continue to agree with what your partner has said and then add new information.
Yes, and it's great.
Yes, and we hope that you learned how to play it.
Okay, well, the practice of yes and is very effective in people communication. If you are frontliners, or if you have some particular important discussion with your client, it's very important for you to listen attentively to them, and then try dive into that passionate conversation by always agree with what of the conversation, agree of what friend saying. Okay. Now, okay, consumer behavior and marketing. Right, in order for you to be very successful entrepreneur, you need to have very good people skills, listen attentively to the client's needs, and then you have very good knowledge in that particular product. If you look here in the slide, the tourism industry needs research data for a variety of purposes. First, it identifies opportunities for product development, set price in relation to those of competitors, and ensure that distribution networks are working effectively. Tourist behavior marketing research. It is very important for you to identify whether or not people like that destination, or if that particular destination is ineffective because, or perhaps that destination does not offer good transportation, good effective skill in terms of the entertaining customers, or because of the infrastructure is very bad, or perhaps the staying or then in that particular vicinity is very dull and bored, or perhaps because of there is no entertainment features or no entertainment outlets, or because it is very bored staying in that particular hotel. So it is very important for you to identify the behavior of these tourists, because these tourists will ensure the longevity of your business. If there is no tourists, there is no visitors, then you will face some difficulties. So data on tourist behavior. Tourism organization require a wide range of data on tourist behavior. First, statistical profile of tourists in terms of demographic. Demographic ni adalah berkenaan dengan your education, your education, your occupation, your marriage status, the gender, your frequency of travel, kan macam tu lah, and where do you come from. So statistical records tourist behavior, how tourists make purchasing decision, who makes the purchasing decision, when the purchase decision is made, consumer perception, tourist satisfaction, the identification of trends in tourist behavior, product positioning in relation to competitors, the attitude of non-users, the cultural and national differences in tourist behavior, the link between the consumer behavior, tourists, and their purchase of other products. So those are some of the example data on tourist behavior. Those mentioned the slides very important. Okay, there are none of the list need to be ignored. So they are all be regarded as very important. Okay, problems involved in the collection and interpretation of research in data and tourism. Lack of longitudinal studies. Longitudinal studies ni makna kata kajian jangka masa panjang, 10 tahun, 5 tahun. Ya. Tapi yang ni kajian ni dalam konteks behavioral. So behavioral ni dia on the change very fast based on the nature of the environment, based on the needs of that particular time, based on the technology happened in that particular era, based on the other uncontrollable external factors. Yeah, the techniques for gathering the perception of tourists are relatively underdeveloped and unsophisticated. Yeah, this is true because majority of the data collected is based on face-to-face interview, by asking them directly, by using questionnaire survey or by using online survey. There are no other techniques available other than that always sellers approach the customers. All right, so the techniques are asking them whether or not they are feeling motivated and satisfied with the stay. But there are no other questions or studies that tap into the future needs of these customers, or the consumption benefit the customers gain during their stay. Alright, so all the studies that what are the things that they didn't like during their stay, yang tu tak ada, jarang lah. Okay, so always studies on the whether or not you satisfied, whether or not you are motivated, whether or not you like me or not, it is underdeveloped. Whether or not you despise me, whether or not you hate me, tu tak ada, macam tu lah. So the attributes of the dislikes are what we call this one is very little, very inadequate. There is a lack of comparative data on national and cultural difference in tourist behaviour. Yalah, dalam Malaysia ni ada banyak culture, ada banyak ethnic, Malay, Chinese and Indian. Even though they are Malaysians, but different ethnic background comes with different needs and wants. Even the heritage itself, heritage ada contestable issue. Ada yang mengalami some ethnocentric discourse sebab heritage is being claimed by many kinds of versions sebab different ethnics. Alright, absence of reliable empirical data on the motivation and determinants of tourist behavior. Data berkenaan motivations ni kurang. Data motivation pergi ke Taming Sari tak ada, data motivation pergi ke Taman Buaya tak ada, data motivation pergi ke Cheng Hun Teng Temple tak ada. Memang tak ada lah data motivation pergi ke specifically Museum Cheng Ho, tak ada. So memang tak ada lah. Kalau dah tak ada nak buat macam mana? Itu, so those are some of the difficulties. Alright, bila ada kajian berkenaan yang tu, kajian tu is not orang kata tak sampai kepada pengetahuan Tourism Malaysia ataupun Tourism Promotion Unit. Continue. What are the obstacles or challenges? There are too few mechanisms which allow data to be disseminated in a usable form to practitioners. There are so many data that are being conducted by many researchers. Many of them contribute to a new theory or filling gap in the literature, because all those studies are based on the fundamental studies yang mana dia punya outcome the studies contribute to new law, new theory. Many of this data is useless to the hoteliers, yeah, to the travel agents. It's not very important for them. Okay, we don't know enough about how the behavior trace relates to how they consume the products. Okay, the highest quality data is collected by private sector organization, is commercially sensitive and is not generally available. Yeah, if Hatton Hotel conduct their data, conduct their survey. The survey is always shared among their board. The data is treated as private and confidential. It's not revealed to other people or to the public because they don't want their competitors steal the particular information. Yeah, it's not disclosed. Mesh data is out of date and based on unreliable small sample of tourists. This is very important, and this is very common, and this is very alarming. Okay, because if you are a researcher, you researcher for these academicians, once you have done or once you have collected that data on that particular hotel, so that's it. If you are trying to repeat the same research or the same study on that particular hotel, it is what we call you are repeating. You are just repeating the same study, which is for in the academics. It is something that you are not contribute to new knowledge. Dia tu macam tu yang masalah dia tu. But for the hoteliers, it is very important for them. Even though they have conducted the same study like 3 years ago, this year, 3 years ago, 3 years ago, 2019. But I need the same data, the same study being conducted in the year 2021. You use the same mechanism, you use the same methodology, but different population or different samples. I just need that data. Is very important for me. But for academic, dia tak boleh buat macam tu. Sebab you are repeating the same methodology, the same instrument, the same questions, the same samples, and then the same target group. So it is not contribute to new knowledge, because for the academician, for the researchers, for the academic researchers, kan, yang dia cuma cari ialah contribution to new knowledge. Tapi masalahnya for the practitioners, they don't really need this new knowledge. I don't need new framework, I don't need new theory, I don't need new law, but I need data on how can this data be manipulated, or how this data can attract more people, can lure more business. Macam tu yang dia nak, yang tu. Yang lain dia tak nak, mau tahulah, because teori ke new knowledge ke tak boleh bawa masuk duit. Okay, so that's why the industry punya studies, industries punya needs dengan academic needs ini dia lain, dia berbeza, dunia pun berbeza, but they can integrate, they can work together. Alright, but they just can ask for these practitioners, for the industry players, they can just ask the academics to do the same kind of research, fund them, give them grant, give them money to do such studies, barulah boleh, tak ada masalah. Kalau nak saja-saja these academic researchers do the same kind of studies, no contribution to new knowledge, it equal to no value in academic weightage, tak ada value, kan? Journal pun tak terima because dia kata tak ada new knowledge. Alright, marketing mix and trends behavior. I think majority of you are very familiar with this 4P: product, place, price, promotion. Alright, so this one. So I have another video for you. You can it is just continuity of the yes and exercises, so you can always practice and listen to it attentively. The most important thing after you learn from this video, that you can passionately listen to others, and then entertain them, listen to their needs and wants, then would make you become a very popular frontliners in terms of improving your hospitality.
When I first stumbled onto improv, I was still in junior high, and I saw just a couple of minutes of Britain's Whose Line Is It Anyway? And my mind was blown. There was a man, and he was singing a song on the TV about the problems in his career field. How was he doing that? There had to be a trick. And as a hardcore drama dork, I had the opportunity to play some improv games in high school. But I remember thinking that something was missing. Why wasn't it like the show that I had seen several years ago? Well, I'll get back to that point in a minute. In college, some of my friends started an improv group, and I went and saw them, and the magic was back. Again, my mind was blown. How are they so good at making things up on the spot and being funny? Well, I auditioned for that group the next year, and I got in, and it was there that I learned that improvisers adhere to a certain set of guidelines. Just like playing a sport or learning to play an instrument, I was more successful when I was observing these guidelines. Now, by definition, improv is performing without preparation. It's responding in the moment to the stimulus of our immediate environment and our inner feelings. Now, at the beginning of this talk, I said, "Hi, I'm Jen, and I'm an improviser." But in fact, we're all improvisers. We all have to improvise every day. Sure, you might have a to-do list, but it would be impossible to map out everything that you're going to say and every move that you're going to make. Which leads me to the title of this talk. Be an improviser, change the world. So let's take a look at some of those guidelines for improv, and I'm guessing they're going to be the guidelines for a good life. Number 1, make a connection. If we're going to create stories all on the spot, the ensemble is going to have to get connected right away. So let's watch the beginning of a scene.
Whoa, man, these monster waves are totally gnarly.
Honey, your waffles are ready.
Okay, let's stop there. Now, this is an example of an improv scene where the improvisers are not connected. Jacob thinks that the scene is about surfing, and Hannah thinks it's about a couple that's having breakfast in the morning. Now, I'm not saying that the beginning of this scene couldn't work. Great improvisers could make it work. But if the audience is going to understand what the story is, we need to get connected right away. So let's try that again.
Whoa, man, these monster waves are totally gnarly.
Yeah, dude, let's try to ride them all the way to New Zealand.
Great. We're connected and we are ready to continue. Now, is there a way to ensure that connection? Absolutely. Number 2, listen. Let's try a little exercise. Cody and Hannah are going to have a conversation, but the last line of Cody's dialogue is going to have to be the letter that Hannah's line of dialogue starts with. So let's watch.
My communication professor just isn't listening to me.
Every time you try to talk to her, she just rolls her eyes and looks away.
Yes, I know. Tell me about it. It's so annoying.
Gee, I wish that she would look at us more. I mean, you're looking good today.
Yes, I am.
Okay, so chances are, as you were following along, you were listening harder than you normally do. In our day-to-day lives, having conversations with someone, we have already decided what our response is going to be halfway through their dialogue. So how much information are we missing by only half listening? Now, this goes back to guideline number 1, and stronger connections can be made by when we are focused on the person that we're with in that moment. Improv would be very difficult if we were trying to listen and flipping through our text messages. And listening in real life would also be difficult if we were always checking our text messages. Number 3, say yes and. Improvisers love to say yes. It keeps things positive, it keeps us generating new ideas, and it opens up new opportunities. So let's watch the beginning of a scene.
I'm off to slay the dragon. Sir Cody, will you help me?
No, I'll stay at the castle.
Oh, okay. I guess our scene is over. Cody said no, and now we'll never know the adventures that these two could have had. And maybe Jacob could have continued the scene convincing, and maybe Cody eventually would have gone to slay dragons, but boy, we wasted a lot of time getting there. Wouldn't it just be easier if Cody said yes right up front? Imagine your workplace filled with people that said yes all the time. Imagine the world filled with people that said yes when it came to slaying the daily life dragons. Let's try this again.
I'm off to slay the dragon. Sir Cody, will you help me?
Yes, and let's bring my magical elf.
Great! This time Cody said yes, and he's going to bring his magical elf. Now, I know we don't all have a magical elf, but we all have a unique skill or a distinct ability that we can say, yes, and I will bring my distinct skill to the table to slay that daily life dragon. Number 4, be in the moment. If improvisers are going to make up stories on the spot, it's important that we are in the moment. It's going to help us follow the twists and turns that the story might take. So, how does that translate to our daily lives? When we're multitasking too much, we can get sloppy. If we focus on the task at hand, we are going to increase our productivity and also our quality level of work. And in regards to our interactions with our colleagues or our loved ones, when we're focused on the person that's in front of us, we're going to get the most out of that interaction. Is it just as simple as being in the moment? I'll add something to it. Be flexible. Let's watch Hannah start a scene. Okay, so Hannah started a scene, and let's say she thinks that she is throwing a baseball. But watch what happens when Jacob enters this scene.
Eve, Dad's gonna be so mad when he sees you've been picking the apples.
Oh, Jacob thought that Hannah was throwing an apple, but Hannah thought that she was throwing a baseball. Now, Hannah knows that there are no bad ideas in improv. She doesn't want to crowbar her preconceived ideas into this scene. So she's going to be in the moment, be flexible. She's going to respect Jacob's choices and respond positively.
I know, I just really wanted this apple. And I'm so incorrigible. Get it? Apple, core.
We'll talk about bad puns in improv in a totally different talk. All right, so we are going to remain flexible. Number 6, listen to your inner voice and follow your intuition. If improvisers are going to make up stories on the spot, avoid their preconceived ideas about the scene, then it is imperative that we follow our intuition. Do you remember when I was talking about my high school improv experience and how it didn't have the magic that other groups had? Well, I really believe that was because high school me was not listening to my inner voice, or if I heard it, I didn't trust it enough to follow it. And in our daily lives, we often ignore our impulse to contribute to group discussions because we don't think that our ideas are good enough or smart enough. But they are good enough. They are smart enough, and doggone it, people are going to like them. Be an improviser and change the world. Make a connection. Listen. Say yes and. Be in the moment. Stay flexible. Avoid preconceived ideas. Respect other people's choices. Listen to your inner voice and follow your intuition. Thank you.